Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's 6:30 a.m. May 26th, and price of Bitcoin currently at 88.50. So let's get to the analysis. On the 1 hour chart, yesterday, again, if you didn't get to catch my live stream session right here on YouTube, it's available here on the um, Alpha Trades channel right here. All right, so go check that out. Live Bitcoin market analysis. Are the bulls in denial? Miners are selling. This is a more in-depth analysis. Today's analysis is going to be a bit more succinct. So make sure you go watch that one from yesterday and hit the thumbs up while you're at it. All right, so let's get to it, okay? So on the 1 hour chart, the one thing that I explained in yesterday's analysis and what I've been saying for a while is there's two different patterns that are developing right now, which is the head and shoulders pattern. And again, for the head and shoulders, the volume does match. A head and shoulders doesn't mean anything if the volume doesn't match, okay? And so for the volume to match, what you typically want to see is on the left shoulder right here, you want to see higher volume, but the head makes a higher high with lesser volume. And I think that's the case that's evident right down here, as you can see. That's pretty high volume right there for the left shoulder, lesser volume down here, right there for the head, as you can see down here, right? And then so the right shoulder comes out, and this was, I think, into the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, and then into late Sunday, Monday, and now even going into Tuesday. All we've really seen is just chopping around this particular area right here. So we've kind of just moved back from this low around, what was the low, 86.18 on MEX, all the way to a high of 9,014. Okay. Now, here's another interesting thing, which I find is that this pattern right here, the head and shoulders pattern, is also technically now creating a falling wedge. And in the falling wedges, what you really want to see is overall volume going down. So the one thing that I noticed this morning was this was true in a sense, but volume at these lows right here started to spike right there and even right there. Okay, so the volume overall wasn't really, going down. It was going down, up like this, and then down some more, and then up like this. In falling wedges, because this is a bullish pattern, overall, what's really happening is price is actually contracting into a tighter pattern. So you want to see both buys and sells decline, because what's happening is all the sellers are trying to force the price down, but the buyers are actually absorbing on the sell side, right? And so that forced selling is actually being slowly absorbed into the passive buying. That doesn't seem to be the case in this falling wedge, and this is why I'm a bit reluctant to say that this is a falling wedge that is going to break out bullishly. So I'd probably give it like maybe a 30% chance or 40% chance at the most that this falling wedge could play out. I would rather say that this head and shoulders pattern is still in play. This larger triangle pattern that broke down, this was Sunday, this larger triangle pattern that broke down is definitely active, and the target to the downside from this triangle is, I think, 69 or 7,000, 6,900 or 7,000. Let me see. So the way you measure the measured move for the triangle breakdown is kind of like this. So you take the broadest part of the move, you take it from the point of breakdown right there, which is right about there, and so you can see the measured move brings us to about 7,018 or so. Okay, that would be the target of this thing right here breaking to the downside. If it broke to the upside, it'd just be the same thing, except it'd just be flipped back the other way. It'd be like, let's just say we broke out like tomorrow or something, right, from the triangle. And again, that's not the case, because again, we broke down already from the triangle. But let's just say, we did break up from the triangle, then our target would have been like 11,700. All right, but that's not the case. And so it's very hard to make the bullish argument right now, given the way this wedge looks, the head and shoulders pattern, instead of a larger broken triangle pattern. On top of that, on the 2-hour chart, I mentioned this again in the video that I told you all about. The 2-hour chart, I can draw this clean marker going across the board, right? Remember, when it comes to technicals, the first thing that you want to do is identify horizontal levels, okay? So whenever I identify levels, I kind of draw out these markers, right? What is the key significance of them? The highs, the lows, the midpoints, and even ranges, kind of like this, right? So this is a range because from this high to this low, that created a range. So once we create this high, you can see that was resistance. We broke up through it, used that same resistance as support right there. And then even this range low we used as support right there. So this is definitely a range. And by the way, I drew this range before any of this happened, okay? So understanding how to draw these horizontals, these trading ranges, this is something that we do in our community on a day-to-day basis. If you wanna learn, there's a Discord link below, okay? So going back to the analysis, all right, on the 2-hour time frame, the more important marker right now is 89.49. And you can see that was resistance right there, broke up through it, false breakout, finally broke up through it, tested it as support right there. Let me zoom in a little bit closer so you can see, right? So this was obviously key resistance, fake breakout, pulls back, actually breaks through, tests as support, breaks through, again, tests it as support real quick, smashes through again right there, tests as resistance, resistance, breaks up all the way through, and then doesn't come back to revisit. See here, I'm gonna delete this stuff. Doesn't come back to visit that same marker right here until 21st of May. So I think last week, right? Test it as support, weak bounce from it, rolls over, boom, right? And now it's resistance, resistance, all right? So point is 89.49. I mentioned this in yesterday's video, key marker. All right, key marker, and now we're getting rejected by it, okay? So if this falling wedge doesn't play out and we start breaking down, again, I would say my downside target is at least $7,600, which again, if you measure the head to the bottom, and this is how you do a measured move of the head and shoulders pattern. All right, so let's just say we broke down, I don't know, like today itself from here. The measured move brings us to about 75.91, so $7,600 or so, right? So that's kind of how I'm looking at the price action right now. When it comes to the ES, which is the S&P 500 E-mini futures, we did open, pretty strongly after the Memorial Day weekend, and now we're at the 3,000 level, which is insane in my opinion. But the markets are going to do what the markets are going to do. Bitcoin is still sort of in its weird pattern, all been dragging all the way down into the weekend. I don't quite know if BTC is going to follow the stock market right now, the way it's gone up. But I've stated this before, where I believe that at times, maybe Bitcoin, because it's a high risk asset, may actually top off just like it did in February right here, before the stock market does. So over here, you can see the stock market tops off on February 20th, right there. BTC right here topped off on the 13th of February with this key high, 10,550. So 7 days before Bitcoin actually topped off and started to roll over. And then of course we saw that big drop in coronavirus scared too from the stock market. All right. So these are things to definitely keep in mind if you are someone who watches the ES and the other markets like I do. Our resident analyst, Faisal, he puts out daily updates on what's happening in the stock market. So it really helps us to read exactly what's on his mind, because he trades the market every single day. So understanding the viewpoint from him is critically important. So anyway, I think I've made my analysis clear. I still do think that there's going to be a further breakdown, even if we just simply turn on the pivots. And as you guys very well know, the pivots indicator is one of the more simpler ways to understand horizontal support and resistance levels. You could see we're under the 4-hour pivot right now. On the 15-minute, I think we just bounced off the 15-minute pivot right there, as you can see, like almost perfectly. So, the 15-minute right now is still supporting us, which is around 88.31 or so. If that does break, that brings us to the S1 of the 15-minute pivot, which is around 86.82. And I think if we get to 86.82, no, I guess that's not, I was going to say, I think that might take us down below the wedge. but it doesn't. I think below the wedge, if we went straight down right now, it'd be 85.50 or so. Okay, but if we start heading back towards the wedge, folks, I probably say there's a high chance of us breaking this bottom trend line of the wedge. Okay, nothing special on the oscillators. I'm still seeing 4-hour, still just trending down, lower highs all the way down. OBV is still not ticking up. We're not seeing any significant, inflows of money coming in to actually push up the asset. So all in all, I still do remain short. And again, if you want to come trade with us, there's a Discord link below. Until then, I'll catch up with y'all soon and take care. Cheers.